tells us that all the pagans will be reproducing in the millennial kingdom, except you and I, because we're floating. And we're ruling and reigning, and we're so busy ruling that we have no time, or we have no desire to reproduce. Liar. Go to Isaiah 65, verse 20. I'm going to show you we will be reproducing in the kingdom. And remember, the only way to reproduce and be kosher is through a covenant of marriage. If we are reproducing in the kingdom, in the Atid Lavo, outside of marriage, what are we doing? We are committing fornication or adultery. Exactly. So we're going to be married again. The only question is, to who? Go with me to Yeshayahu 65 and verse 20. Again, this message, marriage in the world to come. Marriage. I didn't have room for this in my book, but it would be nice to put it in. And these are the kind of things we talk about in the book. Neidah, women who are in menstruation. All these things. It's not just monogamy and plural marriage. There's other things that we discussed, which is why you need the copy of the book as well. Yeshayahu 65, verse 20. Let's continue. This is a clear millennial passage. Clear. There's not a theologian this side of the Mississippi that would argue that Isaiah 65:20, what I'm about to read to you now, is not dealing with the kingdom of Yahweh or the millennial kingdom. Nobody would even begin to argue about that. I've never seen anyone even start to argue about that. Isaiah 65, verse 20. Let's read it together. There will be no more than an infant or just a few days, nor an old man who has not fulfilled his days. For the child will die at 100 years old, notice, but the sinner being 100 years old will be cursed. Now look, there are two types of offspring. The first offspring are the saved babies who died as a baby. Even the babies will not die until they're at least 100 years old. But the sinner, who is 100 years old, will be cursed in the Atid Lavo. Verse 21. Isaiah Yeshayahu 65. Is anyone enjoying? Yes, and they shall build houses and inhabit them. So they'll be building in the kingdom. There'll be houses to inhabit in the Atid Lavo. And they will plant vineyards and eat fruit. Stop. If we're just doing this, like you and I have been taught in the millennial kingdom, if we're just doing this, then when do you and I have time to plant? When do you and I have time to build? Why would you and I need to eat from a vineyard when it's just what? Bubbles? Bubbles like a Hallmark card. Everything is bubbles. You see what's going on? Planting. You see what's going on? Planting, houses, eating, having babies who, even if they're sick or they have some calamity, will not even begin to die until they're 100 years old. Today, stillbirth births infants at their point of birth. In the kingdom, there'll be no such thing as stillbirth. A child who dies, a baby who dies, will be minimum the age of 100. Is this powerful stuff? Is this powerful stuff? Now look at Isaiah. Let's continue. Isaiah Yeshayahu 65, verse 21. A clear millennial passage. They will build houses and inhabit them. They will plant vineyards and eat the fruit. We're planting, we're eating the fruit. That's sure, because this is after the resurrection. Will we be eating fruit in the resurrection? I said, will we be eating fruit in the resurrection? No. Will we be having babies who don't start dying till they're 100 years old in the resurrection, touching the resurrection? No. How long is the resurrection, Mordechai? 1 nanosecond, in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. I've got your attention. Good. But what about after the resurrection? This is describing a day and a time of after the resurrection in the Atid Lavo. Look at verse 22. They shall not build so that another inhabits. They shall not plant for another to steal the food, so that another may eat. As of the days of an eighth, a tree, so are the days of my saved righteous people. Trees can live to be what? Hundreds, thousands of years old. Well, it's going to be at least 1,000. Everybody will be like a tree, living at least 1,000, ruling and reigning, the saved. And our children will be at least 100. No one's going to die before 100. So we're going to be alive for how long? 1,000 years. But our children, those who are children of the resurrection will also rule and reign with Mashiach for 1,000 years. But there are other children that we produce in the kingdom, and those are the ones who will live minimum, guaranteed, for 100 years. Is anyone enjoying? I said, is anyone enjoying? I know I'm enjoying for sure. Look at this. For as the days of a tree, so are the days of my people. And my chosen people will outlive the work of their hands. Notice, the chosen people of Yahweh will live longer than the table or than the bench or anything that their hands can design through carpentry. Notice, look at verse 23. I love it. I love it, man. Check this. I love the word. Praise Yahweh. I love his word. Notice, if you know the truth will set you free. Verse 23, for they will not labor in vain, and the women will not labor in birth pains in vain, because they will not conceive children for trouble, but rather for life. For they are the seed, or the zerah, blessed of Yahweh, and the offspring remains with them. Meaning, those in the kingdom will plant, will eat, will conceive children, and they will produce zerah, an offspring for Yahweh. And unlike the child killed in an accident, or prematurely, or by the trials and tribulations of this world that is under the curse of the fall, those children that you and I bear in the kingdom, in the Atid Lavo, will remain with us. Somebody give him praise in the house of Yahweh today. You getting this? But in order to produce children in the kingdom, we've got to have a marriage covenant with a wife of that Yahweh will show us. And it won't be my wife now. It won't be your wife now. Because what happens to that covenant? It is severed in a moment. So which of those 7 brothers had her as a wife in the resurrection? None of them. And that's what Yeshua said. You don't know the scriptures. Because if you knew the scriptures, you wouldn't be asking that question. Can I hear a good amen? If they knew the scriptures, they wouldn't be asking that question. So it says, women will not conceive children for trouble. That doesn't mean they won't conceive children in the Atid Lavo. The rest of the verse explains that they are the blessed offspring, their seed, the offspring that remains with them. Their offspring, children of conception, will not die. In order to have children of conception that will not die, so in other words, any children you and I have in the kingdom not only will not be sick and ill, and not only will not suffer malady, but every child you and I produce, our seed will remain with us, and every child you and I have in the kingdom will never die. Is anyone getting this? This is wonderful, 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 wonderful stuff. I'm really heartbroken that you missed a lot. Some of you missed the beginning. So look at the end of verse 23. It says that the children of conception that we conceive, that our wives conceive in the kingdom, will not die. Listen, in order to have children in the Atid Lavo, there has to be the sex. Ooh, the sex. Ain't no other way it's happening, my darling. Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling Clementine. You are bearing children forever. Oh, my darling Clementine. See, that may be your new wife. Or your new husband. Clementine. Oh, my darling. Check this out. Now, what religion has instructed you in the ways of Isaiah? What religion? This has been in the scriptures for what? 2,700 years. In order to have children who remain with us, who will not be taken from us because of calamity, sickness, and disaster, by definition, we must cohabitate with a partner. If we have these children outside of the institution of marriage, what are we doing? We're fornicating, and we're committing what? Adultery. So the kingdom is not what? It is happiness, joy, unspeakable, full of glory. We got the fullness of the Ruach, and the fullness of the Torah, and the fullness of Yeshua's presence in the Atid Lavo. And we have brand new wives and brand new husbands who don't nag us, who don't hawk us, who don't chinik us, who don't hound us, who are not refrigerators, who actually love us and communicate with us and go with us everywhere we go. And we are inseparable. We are a bond that is inseparable, because what Yahweh has joined together, let not man put asunder. That's the kind of marriage Yahweh's going to have for you in the Atid Lavo. There's hope. There's joy. There's unspeakable glory. Can I hear a good old man? As much as you may love your wife, as much as you may love your husband, and if you have a good marriage, you're blessed. But that marriage that Yahweh has for you will be even better than the one you have now. Or if it's bad, it'll definitely be better. If it's good, it'll be better than good. Okay? Baruch Hashem Yahweh. I mean, let's be honest. In this life, we have marriage, and within the marriage, we have moods and emotions, you know, and people run hot and cold. But in the world to come, now the question is, if the Sadducees had asked the right question, Althea, we would have the answer. Who are these women that will help us as men and ladies, the husband? Who are your husbands in the millennial kingdom? If they had asked the right question, we would have the right answer. Right now, because they asked the wrong question, we don't know who those husbands and who those wives are going to be. We don't know. You follow me, Britt? You look confused. So I don't know. I mean, Rivka's good, but, you know, she's moody. And I'm good, but I'm moody, and I get despondent sometimes, and I'm not a good partner. And I'm not a good husband. She came out of the office. Look at her. Looks can kill. Perfect timing. Ta-da! The glorious appearing of Rebbetzin Rivka. Right on time. So don't worry about me with all this marriage stuff and all the stuff that I'm reading about. She's there to, you know, she's there to keep me in line. Or walk with me, either way. We're echad. But I mean, check this stuff out. Check this stuff out. This is a kadosh pattern of Yahweh's reproduction, where we will produce seed in the malchut, in the Atid Lavo, and the malchut will not be under the fallen curse of man. Every child will be born active, healthy, and will never die, and will remain with us, for the curse has been reversed. What a Yahweh! Amen. In other words, Yahweh, that's the Hebraic mind. We don't get saved so we can stop reproduction and the pleasures of the flesh.